Alright, good evening everybody. Let's try to learn the shtickle Kedushas Levi. If we can get this thing to work, maybe we should pause it while we're trying to get there. Alright, let's learn the Kedushas Levi, Novoi Levoyer. Let's go to explain the Latorates and to answer Alakusha, the question, Shemakashim, Kolomaforshim. All the commentators are asking, why isn't Moses mentioned in this liturgical reading? Hine Ksiv. Behold, it is written in Mishle, in Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1, Ben Chacham Samach Av, that a wise son makes a father glad. Ubahu HaChochmeh. What is this wisdom? In Job chapter 28, verse 28, it says, behold, the fear of the Lord is wisdom. If you want to know what wisdom is, to define which kind of son is wise, the wise is not a wise guy. The wise son is the one who fears the Lord. And behold, the blessed Creator, He does everything. He makes everything happen. And when the worlds are looking at their roots, and they see that from their essence they don't have anything. Rather, all their life force comes from the blessed Creator. Then they're gripped with fear and trepidation and trembling. Behold, the blessed Creator in His world. God created things that are opposites, that oppose one another. Fire and water, opposites. Veruach, ve'afar, wind and earth. And all of this, that's when they're looking at their essence. But when they're looking at their root, that they're all receiving their life force from one source, then all those things that seem to be opposites are actually in unity. And so the truth is really also here, they're really all unified. There really is no opposition. There really is no opposites or dichotomy. There's only unity. And we just have to contemplate that unity and be mindful of that truth. Zerem is pasuk. And this is what's hinted to in the scriptural verse. Hein. When it says, behold, ki hein lashon achdus. When it says hein, that's a term of unity. Why? First Rashi, because Rashi explains that in the Greek language, the ancient, I guess according to Greek, I'm not sure, the word for the number one is hein. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but within the Judeo-Greek it is. The Greek of the Talmud, which there's a lot of Greek words in the Talmud, both in the Babylonian Talmud and especially in the Jerusalem Talmud. That's one of the reasons why the Jerusalem Talmud is so difficult, because much of what we would call Aramaic in the Jerusalem Talmud is actually Greek. But anyway, but Judeo-Greek, right? It's with Hebrew letters. So the hint to is that says Hein Yiras Hashem, behold the fear of the Lord, means that Hein means the number one, that represents unity. That unity comes from the fear of the Lord. That when they're in this state of fear of God, when they're looking at their root, then they're in total unity. This is also what's hinted to in the verse there in Job 25 verse 2. I say Shalom Shalom, that He who makes peace in the highest heavens, He should make peace for us. Ois Shalom, what does it mean he makes peace? It must say Nasa Shalom b'Moimav. When is there peace made in heaven? Kshehem Misroimim Mistakim B'Shorsham. When they're looking at their roots and elevating themselves and looking at where they come from. Az Heim B'Achdus Gomer. Then they're in total unity. Being up in heaven, the Shemayim means Eshumayim. Heaven means fire and water. This is what the sages say in Medrash Rabbah, Midbar Rabbah Yud Beis, al Zeh HaPasuk, on this verse in Job, Michol Mimayim Gabriel Me'esh, that Michael is a water angel, and Gabriel is a fire angel, Kul Ayin Sham, so etc. See there. All right, let's continue, because we didn't explain yet why Moshe Rabbeinu, I guess Hina, it says, is one. All right. V'zeu remez b'Gemara. This is hinted to in the Talmud, Tractate Tane, Yud Aleph Amud Beis, the tractate on fasting, page 11b. What did Moses wear when he served in the days of fulfilling the tabernacle? A white cloak that had no seam and no hem. Every tzaddik, every saint has his own aspect that's special to him, his own archetype. That's what he uses to worship the Creator. And also every one of these archetypical aspects has a color attached to it. Abraham, he had an off-white color. Yitzchak begoven Adam. Isaac had the red color. Yaakov begoven Yarok. Jacob had a green color. Also Moses had his color. Also Aaron. Also each one of the saints representing their archetype had a color, a particular attribute and a particular color. When the tzaddikim look at this aspect of nothingness, that God created the world from nothing, then they're nullified in their whole existence. Each one on the spiritual levels that applies to each of the tzaddikim, each of the saints. And this nothingness, al she'ein bo yishum govon, v'tzir nikar lavan. But this nothingness, because it has no color, it has no form, you can't draw a picture of it, it's called white. Not the off-white of Avram Avinu, but the actual white. Kasher kasu kol mechakrim. This is what all of the authors philosophers say. Shegovin lavin einu govin klal. Scientifically speaking, white is not actually a color. Ki lavin mekabel kol govin. Rather, white is the white light, right? Is the entire spectrum of all the colors in a non-refracted form. It's only the refraction that appears to create all the different colors of the rainbow, and that's why white light reflects all the different colors, right? Because all the colors are in the white light, but the white is not actually one of the colors of the rainbow. It is just all the colors together combined to make white. And this is what's hinted to last. What did Moses use when he served in the tabernacle, when they were dedicating the tabernacle? Moses was not a priest. So how is it that Moses was able to serve as a high priest in the days of the dedication of the tabernacle if he was not a priest? V'zeh haremes b'cholok. This was hinted to with this robe that he wore. Alidei shahaya davak ba'ayin. He was attached to the nothingness of pre-creation. As we explained, that when the tzaddik, when the saint attaches himself to this concept of nothingness, and there is not visible at all, he becomes invisible. So then there's no, God forbid, there's no separation of the attributes. So it's like all the colors of the rainbow come together to form that white light. So too, Moshe Rabbeinu, he was the tzaddik who included all the tzaddikim together, and so all the colors of the tzaddikim came together to be that white light that was Moses in the tabernacle, and that's why he was a priest, because he was everybody, he was everything, he was a nefesh klolis. And that's what's hinted to with this white garment that he wore, imra, that has no seam and no hem, shemoira ala ayin. That's hinting to this concept of nothingness. Shein by imra doesn't mean that has no hem. There's a tzaddik who attaches himself to that primordial concept of nothingness, of that endless light of God. But then afterwards, he can return to himself. The other tzaddikim, they could go back and forth. They could do the whole Ritzoi V'Shoiv thing. Moses couldn't do that. He was constantly connected to the Lord. That's what the Gemara in Baba Basra Chafayim at Beis says in Baba Batra 25b. If one wishes to be wise, he should turn south. Meaning, when you're praying, you're facing, let's say, east, but you go a little bit southeast, right? And you'll be worthy to wisdom. That he receives the additional illumination of turning to the south. Means that he's looking at the nothingness. From there he receives additions and clarity and illumination. Ki darim hu dar rom. What does it mean, darim, south? It means he is existing, he is living, his domicile is above in the highest heights. That's a hint to that concept of nothingness. Alright, does it keep going? Let's keep going. Baruch, no, we're not there yet. V'zeh yivorer adikduk shegam Ramban zal medakdek ze b'siyas b'godim b'parshas Tetzaveh. Baruch she'asli nes b'mokayim hazeh. This is where we hit the cow, so we've got to be careful. I saw the guy the other day. I asked him, how the cows are. The cow's fine. Had a calf. My mother was right. The cow was fine. So anyway, Nachmanides, he explains this idea that here in Parshas Tetzaveh, God is commanding Moses to make the priestly vestments, and then in Parshas Pekudei they actually make them, right? So Nachmanides, he talks about there, as Moshe. By all of them it says, as the Lord commanded Moses, and they made the sacred vestments, as the Lord commanded Moses. Time and time again, for example, Exodus 39, verse 1, with the making of all the vestments, it says as the Lord commanded Moses. Parshas Vayakel, B'siyas Mishkan, like Sivbei Kashet Tzivah Moshe. But in Vayakel, last week's Parsha Truma talked about how to make the tabernacle, and then in Vayakel, they made the tabernacle. I guess it was about Exodus 39, 34, thereabout. And it doesn't say as the Lord commanded Moses. Every place where it's written, as the Lord commanded Moses, Ramaz Moshe Maskil Misechatz Musai. Moses, he's understanding this from his own essential understanding and intelligence. Lei Hisik Rak Asher Tzivo Hashem as Moshe. He only understood that which the Lord commanded Moses. And Moshe, with Moses, as the Talmud tells us that the divine presence spoke from the throat of Moses. The tabernacle represented the Israelites as a nation. And Moses was holding on to this word of the Lord to him of making the tabernacle. But when it comes to the sacred vestments of the priests, Moses was not a priest. So he was meaning he was a regular Israelite, so he could understand the tabernacle that belonged to the whole nation. But he was not a priest, so he could not understand the priestly vestments because that didn't belong to him until he got to the point where he didn't exist, where he made himself, he nullified his own existence. So when the Blessed Creator spoke to him, so that's why by the tabernacle it doesn't say as the Lord commanded Moses, because Moses could understand the tabernacle on his own, from his own essence as a Jew. As we said above, the miras Hashem love, with God telling him about it, he understood it. He didn't have to delve into it. Ki mishkan ha'keneged Yisrael, because archetypically the tabernacle represented the entire nation of Israel. Ki Kedushas is known Yerechein, is known to those who know the secret hidden wisdom of the Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism. But with his own essence, in himself, away from his root, as an independent being of Moses, he was not able to really understand the priestly vestments. That was hinted to when the priestly vestments were made. It says, as the Lord commanded Moses, that the connection was made into Moses, that God had to put into it because he couldn't understand it himself, so Moses had to go to that higher level of the primordial level. And this is what's hinted to with this answer on this question above. Parshas Tetzaveh, why Moses' name is not mentioned in Parshas Tetzaveh, Parshas Tetzaveh ikra l'siyas b'gdei kahuna nemra. Because the Parsha Tetzaveh, this liturgical reading, talking about the making of the priestly vestments. Moses had to cancel himself, had to just stop existing in order to understand the priestly vestments. When a person nullifies himself, he's not called by his name anymore. He's not Moses anymore. He's just nullified in the light of the eternal and infinite light of God. How can you call someone's name when he's nullified in his existence? And so that's why the name of Moses does not appear anywhere in this parsha of Tetzaveh. We understand this very well, so it makes a lot of sense. This is where he goes away from that spectrum into just the plain white light, and that's why he had the white garment with no imra with no hem. Very, very interesting. And then again, that could be why Mekubalim say on Shabbos you should wear white, at least some white garments, 4 white garments. Some people, wear a white bekasha even if they don't wear it to the synagogue, they might wear it at home. And that represents that concept, archetypically, of going away from the spectrum into the primordial original light. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. Have a very happy Purim, and we'll see you all later. We might read the Megillah live somewhere. We'll see what we can do. All right. God bless. Thank you. How do I turn this thing off? This one? Is it off? No, it's still running.